Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we're going to be talking about Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Now, this game came out somewhat recently. It's been a few weeks since it dropped now, and I have been having a ton of fun with it. It was randomly announced the day after Nintendo confirmed the Switch 2 as sort of a little stopgap title for the summer, clearly something that took very little development time, meant to fill out the schedule in the system's final year. But in spite of that, I was very excited for it. It immediately invoked vibes of the NES Remix games, if you ever played any of those on the Wii U or 3DS, basically being bite-sized NES challenges that you would play from certain games. This was that, but in a sort of slightly different format. Instead of stages being set up in a sort of WarioWare-like string of challenges, you were just playing a single challenge, trying to do as good as possible. Speedrunning was very clearly emphasized, and so was competition, as this is based on the Nintendo World Championships, which was an event they held in the 90s and the 2010s. It's come back once or twice, and they've brought the branding back again, this time for an actual game release. I think it's really cool when like Nintendo marketing gets thrown into an actual game like this, you know. That's what the company is most known for, so it really feels like they're immortalizing the Nintendo World Championships name by making this game. I don't think they're about to make a series of games or anything. This is clearly just a one-time thing, but you know, from the gate, this seems like a really exciting game. NES Remix, but more about competition. Granted, you know, immediately it's pretty apparent that there's not going to be any of the cool remix stages that they made in those NES Remix games where you would have, like, Link and Donkey Kong. Just a bunch of weird modifications. But, you know, it still seemed like a fun game. The basic concept of the game still seemed very intriguing. This game's perception up until launch, though, has been like just extremely polarizing from what I've seen, though. I've seen people be like, why are they doing NES nostalgia again? Why isn't this a compilation of the games? Some people even complaining about leaderboard features and a ton of stuff. I'm sure some of these complaints are valid, but to me, a lot of them just come off as people complaining about what the game isn't rather than what it is. It's not NES Remix 3, it's not Super NES Remix, it is Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, a really garbage name for a pretty interesting concept. So much like the NES Remix games, Nintendo World Championships NES Edition, the long name, I'm just going to call it NWC for short, cherry picks a handful of scenarios and scenes from classic NES games. The first thing that'll jump out to you is the speedrun mode, which is more of a practice mode. It gives you access to all the challenges. I mean, you have to procedurally unlock them by doing things and playing the game. It doesn't take too long. If you play the game normally, you should be able to just access every challenge as you play through them. But the areas the game wants you to engage in are the survival mode and the World Championships mode. The World Championships mode is super interesting. So they will pick 5 challenges every single week and put them in this mode. Essentially, you'll have to compete and get your best time recorded in this mode, and it'll be put up against everybody else who is entered, and you will get placings at the end of the period. Okay, not the craziest thing in the world, but then the survival mode takes it to another level. There you are matched with people, or at least the time ghosts of people who have played the World Championships mode, and you're essentially going up against those times to see how fast you can beat all those challenges. This cycle is very fun. I love busting in a challenge or two before I head to bed, but the fact that now they're going to be highlighting specific challenges every week is definitely going to keep me coming back to this game, at least for a little bit. I know this morning I woke up at the time of the recording and was very surprised to realize that, oh hey, there's a new set of challenges. I gotta play them. And I immediately hopped on and went to record my records, as well as play a few survival rounds where I actually won my first gold division. It's super fun. It's super fun. Another thing I do quite like about this game is the size variety of challenges. You know, some challenges will be like 2 seconds long, like get the mushroom in Mario or get the mushroom in Mario 3, but others will require you to beat entire levels or even entire games in some cases. Each of the 13 games has a sort of final boss challenge called a legend challenge. This could take anywhere from 2 to 8 minutes in some cases. Mario's is literally beat the entirety of Mario 1 using warp zones. Mario 3's is beat all of World 1 in Mario 3. They're super intense, but they seem to be excluded from survival mode, which would kind of ruin that intensity of trying to rush through these challenges, if not for what was easily my most anticipated feature of this game, the party mode. This is something NES Remix never had, and something that, in my opinion, completely takes NES Remix out of the conversation and which is better or not. Look, I'm going to be honest, I haven't had the chance to play with a full party of 8 yet. I've played with one other person, I've seen footage, I can see the magic here. Imagine trying to run through Mario 1 or Mario 3 in one session against 1, 2, maybe even 7 other people in the same room. That intensity sounds just tantalizing. Incredibly tantalizing. NES Remix was often compared to WarioWare. Well, this game is WarioWare Mega Party Games. This is the party mode of WarioWare, but in the NES Remix style. And it's such a fun concept that if you have a group of 7 and you want a cool Nintendo game to play for the evening that isn't Smash Bros, or I genuinely can't think of any other 8-player local Nintendo games, then you buy this game. There's no online, which, part of me gets, part of me kind of doesn't, because I feel like you could easily run an online version of this. Like, sure, maybe the footage would be laggy, but you would always get that timer, so you know if the person finishes. Like, it's not really about having to connect both players because you're both running on your own screens. I would have thrown it in there, although I don't know anybody who bought this game, so I would not have anyone to play it with anyway. This is going to do me a lot of wonders in large group gatherings. We're going to have a great time with this game. If I had to give some critiques, part of me wants to complain about the title selection. I mean, these were the games I would pick if you asked me to make a game that fits this. I've seen a lot of people say, where's Punch-Out, where's Wario's Woods, stuff like that, but the thing is, those games don't lend themselves to speedruns very well. They're more rhythmic, they're more RNG focused, I think these are the best Nintendo first-party games you could have picked for this, and I feel like even with these games, they were kind of like barely able to make it work. They only include like 4 or 5 challenges from like Ice Climber and Excite Bike, whereas games like Kirby's Adventure and Mario 3, which obviously have a lot to pull from, get a lot more screen time. And honestly, I think I'm fine with that. Like, Party Mode has sets of challenges you can pick to play through with friends in a kind of Mario Kart, Mario Party style. And there are some that are straight up just Mario 3 or Mario 1 challenges, and it's like, yeah, you know what, that's fine, because those are the games that you want to play. I feel like if you start throwing too many games into it, it gets a bit too confusing. Like, how would you do NES Ice Hockey or Golf? Some of the other games that were included in the original NES remake. Actually, you probably could do Golf. Golf would be funny. Golf would be really funny. They should have like a patch for Golf. I think there actually was some stuff they found in the files hinting at more games, not any specific ones, but just the space being open for them adding more games. I doubt they will, although I'd be very pleasantly surprised with a big content update for this game. Very, very pleasantly surprised. Overall, this game is very good. It's definitely my favorite, like, original Nintendo title we've gotten this year, although granted the only other games in running are Endless Ocean, Luminous, and Peach Showtime, 2 games I have yet to play. So, I mean, yeah, this one wins by default. I'm sure it won't be that case once we get some of the stuff they have planned for later in the year, but I do think this game is very good regardless, and you know what, if they did update it, if this did come out like a few years ago, I would probably love it even more than I already do. I know some people have been saying it would have been better as a free NSO offer and then you could play the online challenges, but if that was the case, I know for a fact this game would just have the 5 online challenges every week. No practice mode, no local party mode, just it wouldn't feel... I don't think it would be the same kind of game, and I'm kind of happy that it got a physical release with a deluxe edition with cool little extras. I'm happy with this getting like a good amount of promotion and being heralded as their big summer game, because I mean, like, the next game they have coming out is Famicom Detective Club in the end of August, so it's not really much of a summer game at that point. Yeah, this game's very good. I recommend it. If you think you're gonna like it a little bit, go for that digital version. If you think you're going to like it a lot, I'd say go for the physical version. Get the goodies. It's really just if you want the goodies. I did my unboxing. The goodies are cute, but I know they're not for everybody. I just haven't bought any Nintendo Collector's Edition somehow this generation, so I went with this one. It looked really nice. Yeah, I think I've said enough about this game. I recommend it. If you think it looks like your thing, go for it. I don't think I can convince you if you don't like this. If you already had those complaints I mentioned earlier about why isn't this just the old games, why isn't this a different console, then I don't think I could, like, change your mind. But I think it's a very cool, competitive party game that they have just dropped, and I'll definitely be playing some more of it. Yeah, that's all I got, though. Keep yourselves cornered for more on Nintendo games and gaming as a whole. I'll see you guys on the next one later.